Hey everyone, this is Pete, and welcome back to Atari A to Z Flashback, a series of short playthroughs of the 150 games that make up Atari Flashback Classics for Nintendo Switch. Today's game is Air Raiders. This was a 1982 release for the 2600 by Mattel, and this was part of Mattel's M Network range of releases. Now, M Network, if you've not come across it, was a label that Mattel set up mostly to create ports of their Intellivision titles for the Atari 2600. And this was kind of a surprising move, given that the Intellivision was a significant rival to the Atari 2600, and also the 2600 was considerably less powerful than the Intellivision. So a lot of these ports had to be sort of simplified somewhat to actually, well, fit them into the 2600's memory capacity, and also just to get them playable. But also, interestingly, Air Raiders is one of the only games released on the M Network label that was unique to Atari 2600. So this did not have an Intellivision equivalent. It had a somewhat mixed reception over the years. Some people have sort of praised it as being the best flight simulator on the Atari 2600, which is not a terribly high bar to clear, to be perfectly honest. But others have sort of criticised its simplicity and some peculiar design decisions along the way, which will probably come up as we play it. But it's an interesting and pretty cool game that is a worthy inclusion in the Atari Flashback Classics collection. So, let's go play Air Raiders. Okay, here we are once again with Atari Flashback Classics. So, today, as I said, we're looking at Air Raiders. So, let's begin by having a look at the documentation. So, the object of the game is to blast enemy aircraft out of the sky and dodge ground missiles. Zero in on enemy planes. Bank left, bank right, dive, climb out. Watch your elevation, keep track of the fuel, run out of ammo, land and refuel, take off again. For your Atari video game system. Atari is a trademark of Atari Incorporated. Right, so it's a dogfight. You against the enemy. You're the pilot, gunner and navigator all in one. Enemy planes are buzzing you. Anti-aircraft ground forces are shelling you. Get an enemy plane in your sights and fire. Try to shoot down as many as you can. If ground fire explodes in your sight, you're hit. You quickly lose altitude. Climb back up. Stay clear of the flak. You must shoot down at least 10 planes before you can land to refuel, then take off again. And the game ends when you run out of ammo completely or when you crash. So, there's two levels of difficulty in this, and rather than handling that through the game select switch, it's actually handled through the difficulty switches. So you set your left difficulty switch to A or B, and it's harder to get away from enemy shelling in the A position. So, controls are actually pretty authentic in this. So you can bank, you can climb, you can dive. So despite the lack of detail, it does provide a reasonably convincing sort of flight sim-esque experience. So you're on a gunnery mission to fire, get the enemy in your sights, then press the red button. Make a direct hit and the enemy plane blows up. Don't stop shooting until you're really low on fuel. It's important to make as many hits as you can when airborne. Now there's an important reason for that, which we'll come to in a moment. There's your gauges. So you have an altimeter, the hit counter and your ammo counter. And then you also have the fuel gauge, which is the blue bar. And you have this, I guess it's sort of a radar, but it shows you sort of your heading. And when you are in the red area, then you will be shot at by the flak cannons. So you need to be really careful there. Of course, that is where most of the enemies end up, just to be hazardous. So here we are. When you get really low on fuel, it's time to land and refuel. Time this carefully or you might run out of fuel and crash. Watch the plane position indicator. Fly into the red zone and you're into heavy flak. This zone is even more dangerous at the low altitudes. You can land at any time, but you can only refuel and take off again if you made at least 10 hits the last time up. Wait until you're really low on fuel, then fly down to 0 altitude. Wait for the runway to appear, about 4 seconds, and push forward on the joystick until the horizon is all the way up. For a very heavy landing, I guess. If you've watched my F-15 Strike Eagle 2 coverage, then you'll know that we're well used to that on this channel. Once you land to refuel, you lose some ammo. Check your ammo gauge. You only have as much ammo as the number of hits you made the last time up. For example, if you got 11 hits and landed, you will take off with 11 ammo after refueling. Now this is the aspect of the game that kind of sucks, because like 11 bullets, not very much. You start with 99. And so I think I guess sort of an efficient way of doing it is trying to hit as many as possible with as few bullets as possible, refuel when you need to, and sort of keep going in a cycle that way. But like if you only land when you've completely run out of ammunition, yeah, you're not going to get very far, I don't think. Alright, enemy planes usually fly in 2s and 3s. Shoot 1 and 2 are left. Go after them. This is when you need to get fancy with your flying. If they fly left or right, follow them. Yeah, that's about it. So we're just trying to shoot down planes. So, let's give it a go. Here we are on the runway. So we begin by pressing the fire button. And we're off. And into the sky with our altimeter rising. So now we need to go on the hunt for the bad guys. There's some. Now hitting them is a pretty simple case of just lining them up in your sights and then hitting the fire button. So you can be pretty accurate about it. Ooh. That was getting hit by flak there. So you really want to try and be sort of pinpoint accurate as much as you possibly can. Oops, I crashed. Let's try that again, shall we? So when you get hit by flak, you don't get shot down immediately, but what happens is that you lose some altitude, and if that causes you to hit the ground, then you crash and die horribly. And when you're in the red area on the radar at the bottom, you're much more likely to be shot at and hit. So you see, there's no real sort of attempt to simulate 3D or anything in this. The enemy planes are always at that distance from you. It does simulate altitude. Oops. And so, like, sometimes you have to fly up or fly down to keep the enemy in your sights. But they're only ever flying sideways like this. Okay, not bad. 6 hits, 66 ammo to go. Stop shooting me. Ooh, that was a big one. Come here. Oh, I think those hits might be getting more severe each time. So let's gain a bit of height. Yeah, because you can hear that sound of sort of going into the dive. It starts higher each time, and it goes down to the same pitch. It's like each subsequent time you get hit, you fall further. So you gradually need to get higher and higher in order to stay alive. Alright, we've got 17 hits and 6 ammo remaining, so I'm going to drop down. Oh, I crashed. That's not how you land. You have to drop down to 0 altitude without crashing. Let's try again. I quite like this game. I mean, I can see why some people have sort of criticised it for its simplicity, but I mean, come on, it's a 2600 game. That's a 2600 game having a damn good go at being a jet fighter simulator. Or maybe a World War II fighter simulator, judging by that engine sound. But like, this was well before a lot of other similar types of games. This was well before sort of classic air combat arcade games, like stuff that Sega was doing in the 16-bit era. This was well before a lot of flight simulators on home computers. Get off. So this, yeah, this is actually a surprisingly solid effort. There's an interesting amount of strategy to it as well. Sort of figuring out when to land and refuel and restock your ammunition and... Where is everyone? Oh, there you are. You notice that they break formation as soon as you shoot one of them. Come here. Oh, loads of planes. Kill them all. Come here. Yeah, okay, so I'm sort of starting to see how the refueling strategy side of things works as well. So I've got 26 hits at this point. Sorry, 21 hits at this point. So if I can continue to score a few hits before my fuel gets too low, if I can actually find any enemies, that is. Oh, there we are. Ooh, getting a bit low. Right, see if I land now, I've only got... I've used most of my ammo, so now if I land I'll actually gain ammunition rather than losing it. So, oh, we're getting low on fuel. Carefully, very carefully. Crashed. What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? I don't know. Let's try again. Right, so up. I'm just going to try and land straight away. So, in theory, what you're supposed to do is drop down to 0 altitude and wait. There we go. And then you pull the nose down like that. Okay, so you just got to be really... I don't know if precise is the right word, but you just got to sort of be quite gentle about it. Alright, let's have another proper go and see if we can actually land partway through this time. The one thing I do wish that this Atari Flashback Classics collection had, that it is lacking in my opinion, is some sort of leaderboard or high score functionality for the 2600 games. Because it's there for the arcade games, but there are no leaderboards for the 2600 games, which is a real shame because so many of them are high score based, and those original cartridges had no means of saving high scores. So that's why so many manuals had a notes section in the back where you could actually write down your high scores and your friends and family's best performances and so on. Come here. Come here. Lovely. Oh! I'm hit. I'm hit again. Not doing too badly, actually. At least the planes don't shoot at you. So when you're trying to land, you just need to make sure you're pointing in a direction that is not going to get hit with flak. Oh, my controller's low on charge. Oh no! Come here. Should have charged it up before I started this session, didn't I? Still. Never mind. I think we'll probably make this the last one anyway. If only because of necessity. Alright, let's go for a landing. Maybe hit these guys on the way. Oh, it's too tempting. You see those targets cross your vision and you just think, ah, why not? Right, gently does it. No. Leave them be. Oh, lovely. Lovely passing shot. Right, down to 0 altitude. Wait for the runway. There it is. Nose down. Successful landing, just as my engine cut out. Right, let's go. 29 ammo, and we need to get at least 10 more hits. So we need to get up to 39 in order to be able to refuel again. There's 1. 2. 3. 4. Next, please. Oh, combo. What do we say? 39. That's doable. Alright, done. Let's just try and sneak a couple more in. Out of ammo! Oh no! Alright, time for another landing. Now, I think you only get ammo back for the number of kills that you got in that particular session. Oh no! Stop that. And so I think we'll only get like 12 this time. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we've got to make every shot count this time. Don't think we're going to do it, but we can do our best. Come here, little birdie. No, I've not got enough ammo to do it, have I? There we go, all gone. So, rather than finishing the game with a crash, let's just land for our final score of 47. Which is not bad at all. I think that's the best I've ever done in this game. Alright, ease it down carefully. And wait for the runway. No, 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 no. Alright, I call that a successful mission. 47 kills. Not bad at all. So that was Air Raiders by Mattel's M Network for Atari 2600. That's good fun, actually. I've not really sort of seriously looked at that before, but yeah, it's one I'll have another play with at some point for sure. It's simple, sure, but it's quite entertaining. It's got a nice sort of feel to it. And yeah, although the visuals are simple, it's actually a sort of pretty admirable attempt at doing a reasonably convincing flight simulator on the Atari 2600. So yeah, it should be applauded, really, I think. So, just remains for me to say, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please help out the channel by leaving a like or a comment and subscribing. New episodes of Atari A to Z are on Tuesdays and Atari ST A to Z on Thursdays. Check out atariatoz.wordpress.com for a full archive. Do please also check out my other projects moegamer.net, where I explore Japanese and Japanese-inspired games from yesterday and today, and videopackgames.wordpress.com, which aims to catalogue the small but well-formed library of the Philips G7000 Videopack computer, also known as the Magnavox Odyssey 2. You can also support my work on Patreon or buy me a coffee. You can find links to do both down in the video description. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.